Now, for this next conversation, it stems from what events that have happened, throughout the week and also for a couple of years now. The Kaswa ritual murder, including children, and also, the recent Salifu Amakun's son, 16-year-old son, who caused the death of 2 young angels. And so we're talking about parenting, and there's no other person better to join us for this conversation than Reverend Cephas Haywood Amate. Reverend, thank you so much for joining us. How are you doing?
Good to see you guys. I recall watching your maiden program because I was up there with Summons. I remember.
Wow. We didn't even know that.
Yeah, it's something similar to this.
Yes.
What do you wear for your maiden edition?
I wore a blue suit. It's actually
I
this.
Yes.
I
watched it.
It's figured me out. You are interesting.
I was up there, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Good stuff you guys are doing.
Thank you so much.
It's not easy, but hey,
yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Interesting. It's always fun to have someone with the wealth of experience, really, like Reverend Amate join us. And this conversation is even more important, like Eno said, because of recent happenings. You can say that has shook the nation, right? So 3 years ago, like Eno rightly said, there was the Kaswa murder incident where a 15-year-old and a 13-year-old murdered a 10-year-old, right? And it shook the nation. Then, not too long ago, we've also witnessed a harrowing incident of a car crash. Now, the parenting bit is that the minor was allowed or given access to the vehicle. We don't know whether the parents did, but there's that element of people have called out the irresponsible parenting in all of that. So, Reverend Amate, it's great that we have you. I'm excited to have you in studio.
But Reverend, before we even go into the conversation, let me announce our WhatsApp lines so that if you have any questions or any thoughts, you can send it in, and we'll definitely, ask Reverend Amate for you. 0204-447-033. 0204-447-033. Reverend, let me start by asking, what at all is parenting?
Well, basically, parenting is about a child coming into the system through you with a mother. It may not necessarily, of course, be married, but ideally, societal structures dictate that if the couple are married or together with the child is fine. So basically, it's about bringing up a child to be the best they can be and to be more functional and positive for society. Basically, that is it. So parenting is basically just as simple as that. Unfortunately, it's easier said than done. That's the challenge, because there are dynamics. You can't raise a child the way you like all the time. And growing up, what I've realized is that the structures change over time. When we were growing up, goes back like yesterday, everybody was your parent. Now, everyone apart from your parent is no more your parent. So you have an adverse situation. Because when we were growing up, like I grew up at Awudeme, Kanisha Awudeme Estates, and then we didn't have a lot of walls. The richest home had better grass as their fence, hedges rather. I would say not grass, but hedges. That's their fence. That's the richer homes. We kept ours blank. If you improved a bit, then you could get into the grass levels. And always in between these things, as kids, we always had a spot where we could go in and out. I'm trying to say that there were no structures that bordered the homes easily. Everybody knew their fence lines, but every home was your home. And every brother was your brother, every sister was your sister. Automatically, every parent was and remained your parent. So there was nothing like waiting till 7 o'clock to get a lash.
Someone's parents can do it on
because that parent is your parent. It is, quid pro quo. So it swings in the neighborhood. That's how it works. And I recall growing up that there were times when there will be differences between the parents, and sometimes we'll be scared. But issues between the parents did not easily translate to the children. So your mom in the next house or the next second house will have had a fight, but we will go and do our food and play our games
as kids on your own accord.
Yeah, that's the way it works. And you also know that it comes with benefits and challenges, because you don't get hungry. Your mother goes to Mokola, she's not back. It doesn't matter who is home. This family travel, it doesn't matter, you be fed. Yeah. So it was just a structural thing, and that's the way it was. That's the way it went, and it was just beautiful. In the same way too, that if something happened to you, you'll be beaten twice, minimum twice. Twice because on the grounds, you'll be punished.
Yeah.
Right.
And of course, once your parents
Cares
arrived,
about it.
mostly it's the mothers who do these ones.
Yeah.
The report will go to your mom, and once you have been reported, and she's been told you've been beaten, you get a beating again.
Oh, wow.
So you know that parenting was just like a sea around you.
Yeah.
You couldn't avoid it. So
Everybody was a parent.
it was fine at the time. You know, the structures were there, but like I said, everyone was your parent. Now no one is your parent, and sometimes even your own parents are really not your parents because you won't take the discipline.
Reverend,
You know.
just opposing that to what we see now in today's settings, what would you say are the major differences or even hurdles that, modern day parents will have to face with the kind of systems or structures we have in place now?
You know, it sounds so sweet now to judge modern day parents. It's so easy to pass judgment on them, but it's more difficult for them now than it was in the past because, like what I just alluded to, it was structural. Everyone was your parent. There was no way you could not be in school. It doesn't work. There's no wall. Everybody knows you are in school. If you are not, it's as simple as that. Stealing was even difficult in the neighborhood because everybody knows everybody. So you could get your check from everywhere.
Yeah.
The opposite house is watching you. The house behind you is watching you. The one on your left, the one on your right, you get watched everywhere. So I think the system, the structure was all over. Your child will not easily get missing. And if you were beating your child, the other parent can also come in. It's like, it's just a whole extended family system, which you don't have now.
Right.
Of course, it also had its little disadvantages here and there and all that. But that one of the advantages for children was that you can eat here and you can eat there. I said the food was always flowing. But the difficulty for the parents today is that we are walled, we are fenced in. So automatically there's more limitation there. What goes on in this house does not really transfer to another house unless at the gossip level. So you receive, you hear, you add to it, but you don't positively impact it. Parents now have only themselves to look at. And I think there's a cycle where people feel that if they called for help in relation to their children, it means they are failures. It rather re-emphasizes your quality. Because, like yesterday I had a chat with your boss, Samens, that I knew I was going to come here. The smart thing I did was I gleaned his thoughts. I quickly gleaned his thoughts
On parenting.
Yeah, sure. I gleaned his thoughts. All that, but he also has his experience. So I gleaned his thoughts here too. So I'm trying to say that parents feel limited now. They feel like if I'm inquiring, if I'm asking, then it's because I'm not competent. No, it's because you want to give your best. And your best is about knowing what you know, knowing what he or she knows, and adding it to what you know, and making the best out of it. That's it. So I think we are limited. We should be more open about things. And then again, it's like, I think we even talk more about politics and other things and stuff, soccer, other stuff. For the guys, soccer and all that. For the ladies, their hair, their stuff. We spend even more time discussing those things than we do how best to bring up our children. I don't know the last time you could see mothers discussing how best to get. How do you walk your son or your daughter through this crisis? My child is 8, your child is 4. How did you manage him through it? Because I find your child to be very fine. We have this tendency to feel that we can do it on our own, but we cannot always do it on our own. And I think it's reflective in what we see now.
Interesting. Reverend, you're also a minister of the gospel.
Yeah.
So it's important. I'll come to you later on the spiritual emphasis for children.
Okay.
But still on your opening remarks around it.
Yes.
At what extent do you say the school or other societal, institutions, right,
yes.
have a role to play, like even the Sunday school institutions? And at what point do you say these are the roles or responsibilities of parents that are non-negotiables for parents, right? So the question, let me just structure it properly. At what point do you say the parents should be actively involved in everything of the upbringing of a child? Because, like we were saying, modern day parents, right after childbirth, they have to go back to the office.
Yeah.
The mother is doing a 9 to 5, the dad is doing a 9 to 5, so they are left at the mercy of some nanny somewhere, right? Who also may not probably have the highest form of, education or sophistication to understand the modern trends in parenting and all of that. So the question is, at what point will you say parents should be actively, fully involved in everything with regards to the upbringing of their child?
Well, first of all, I would rather insulate the schools a bit more, because I mean, we have leadership that does not know what to do with children anymore. And this leadership rolls out its thoughts and patterns to the school structures to teach them. So I think there's a problem there. However, here's the problem. Here's the issue. You, the parent, yes, you have a son, you have a daughter. In as much as it's a living being, it's your child, that's another Homo sapien on the block for you. You need to understand that that's an investment. So what you put in...
You see your child as an investment.
Yeah, it's even wrong to see your child. Your child is your ultimate investment.
True.
So at least for the next 18 years, you can negotiate about certain structures with that child. And I'll explain. You decide that I'll buy this car, I won't buy it again. You decide I'll get rid of this car, I don't want this one again. You decide that I don't want this, I'll sell it or I'll remortgage it or whatever. You can do all these things with freedom. You decide I don't want to wear this shoe anymore. I'm no more going to support Man U. I'm going for Arsenal. I don't want Real Madrid anymore. Or Chelsea. Yeah. I don't want Real Madrid anymore. I'm going to Barca at least until the second version of their classical.
I see what you're doing there. Yeah. Go ahead.
So all these things you can freely do. You can't do that with your child. You can file for divorce. The man can file for divorce. The woman can file for divorce. You can't file no longer to be a parent. It's not really parenting is not negotiable.
That's true.
And so it is your highest investment because your money has to go in there. In fact, the law says even if you're not paying, you can be pulled. Waju is there, Dosu is there, all the structures are there to make sure that you care for the child. So that's a major investment. And therefore, you will want to give it your best because from the breakfast, lunch, and everything comes your time as well. The care for the child, the health of the child, the safety of the child, the mentality of the child. Because, see, and here we have a structure too where something can affect your child can do wrong, but you can be held responsible. Something can go wrong with the child, you have to pay a price. You could be somewhere in a prayer meeting. You could be in a conference, but before the day is over, you are in a cell. Wow. Not because you did wrong, but because your child may have done wrong.
True.
So you can't really untie yourself. You can't break those chains. And so parents must wake up to the reality that whether I like it or not, I got to do this, I got to give it my best. And it's not easy. Raising up children also breaks a home. It can break the marriage because you don't see eye to eye about how to handle a particular situation. And no matter the number of children you have, they are peculiar. They are unique, they are irreplaceable in their own strength and in their own rights. So bringing them up is not easy. What is the best way to handle Kofi? How do I handle Ni? How do I handle Ajwa or Abena? They're all different. Much as the structures are there, application does not usually work. What will work for Abena, your second daughter, may not work for Kwame, your first son. So you need to gather the best information, seek the best guidance and guidance, and then look at it. And if you notice so far, I've not gone to the Bible yet.
Yeah.
Because these are structures.
Right.
Because the rules apply to Christians, to Muslims, to fetish, non-believers, agnostics. It applies to you. Even if you worship a tree or a yellow cup, it applies to you because there are rules that govern us.
So these are the natural laws of life. You follow it.
Yeah, see, because you can't walk around and sit close to a friend, no matter how deep the love is, without brushing your teeth.
That's true.
Okay, I came in early. I've been waiting. Last thing I did before coming here, I got a gun from my bag. I wanted to be a bit fresh because she'll be here. So you want to be fresh, you know. So you have to get all these things in place. No matter how much you love your son or your daughter, at a tender nursing age, you can carry the baby. But the child is 1 or 2 years. No matter how much you love your child, you want that mouth cleaned. How would you want the character shaped? How do you want to clean mouth without shaping a character?
True.
And it takes time. It's investment. It's discipline. And you know what? And I say this to people: parents must have this psyche. They must rewire and wire themselves right. It is better to have a child with self-control than a child with self-esteem. Very important.
Wow, take that again. It's
important. It's natural.
To have a child with self-control.
Yes.
Than self-esteem.
Yes, they walk around thinking Duncan is my dad. Is on ChannelOne TV. That's my auntie, and it's nice to have the image.
So restraint over
yeah.
self-control.
Yes.
Over self-esteem.
Absolutely.
But is that to say self-esteem for children is not?
No. Self-esteem without self-control is work. That's what I'm saying. It's nothing. It's nothing.
Wow.
No.
It's nothing. And the only way to develop self-control in any given child is to say no. Is to say no, not because okay. So yesterday, my son is going to school. The mom, boys, mom is baby, no matter the age, he's going to campus. So the match ends. I'm trying to prepare for today, and he says he wants credit. My first instinctive answer to him is, my first answer was tomorrow morning. He said, yes, please. He asked me for credit. I was not too tight. I can give it to him. Yesterday, not 2 days ago. I said, see, I even started. I said, I'm saying 4. Was it an old match? What was this? He said, I don't know.
It's a recent last night.
Fresh, no. So that's why the guy was shouting downstairs. Because I didn't know the match. So he's gone. So my attention was not there. And then he's brought this request. And instinctively, I said, okay, I'll do it for you in the morning. So, that was it. And he knows he's going to get it in the morning. But once I knew the game had finished, the talk and the conversations and the messages and the teasing would start, So quickly I sent it to him. Then he said, then I called him.
It's important to follow the conversation online.
Yes. It's the best thing to do with your kid is to teach them no. No. Not because no is the ultimate answer, but you are giving them self-control.
Okay.
Self-control.
Wow.
Very, very important. But how are you going to teach them when you don't have it? Just the Bible says, "What I have, give I thee." You don't have it yourself. We have parents who need to be who needs parenting. You talked about bringing someone to leaving their child with somebody.
Yeah.
They don't even know how to manage themselves. But there's gap, and because of family issues, you can't bring a cousin, you can't bring an auntie, you can't expose them. So you bring somebody to look after your child who actually needs to be looked after.
Wow, it's interesting. You talk about giving what you have, right? And it takes me to maybe a very lay question, but still very important to ask. What then will you say is the basis for becoming a parent, right? Is there a set standard? Will you put it at an age, or you put it at a maturity level, right? So, I don't know. You should just tidy up the question for me.
Look.
When can one decide that, okay, I'm ready to be a parent?
Well, you see, first of all, when you talk about age, right? It's like you've seen a lady you want to propose. You are 22, she's 24, but you feel her, she gives you all the vibes you want. At that moment, and you've grown up with the age issue that you are the man. At that moment, what are you going to do? You have to decide, shift your mentality and decide that, okay, beginning from today, age is a matter of mind over matter. Once I decide I don't mind, then it doesn't matter anymore. I'm going to propose, and you are on your track. It's just removing those things. Discipline is key, and the structure, the point at which you know you are ready to be a parent is a simple point. You don't even know, because you don't even know. But the question is that, are you ready to give yourself full time? It's a full-time job. It's a consistent job. It's about attitude. It's not about age at all. You could be 34 years and you need to be parented. Somebody could be 21 and they don't need parenting. Look, in my area, I remember very well, there are little girls I saw grew up in my neighborhood. And in as much as my kids, age-wise, are older, I'll courtesy those kids with more maturity. Because whatever you do, another parent can do better than you are doing. Not because she's a better person than you are intrinsically, but because of where she also came from. We are products of our background. We are phenotypical, genetically, yes, but our real impact is phenotypic. I mean, based on how we are brought up, how we are cultured, how we are trained. So you have a person who starts the child in the kitchen around 4 to 5 years. To wash the bowl. Before you realize, the blunt knife is given to her to slice a plantain. Before you know, she can fry an egg. So a 6-year-old girl is safest with the egg than an 11-year-old girl because she had been acculturated into it.
Just started.
There are kids who at 8 can cross the highway, and there are kids who are 16, you maximize their chance of death if you allow them to cross. Because they get into the car and you U-turn them all the time. Well, my kids had to now go and cry, yes, we're binding, get them to cross the major highway.
Break and tie and lose.
Yeah, because and then you realize that Another child
Yeah.
who is older than them
Yeah.
is the elder one, because when they come to road crossing,
Yeah.
the person has a master's in it.
And what Reverend
And
is
that's the
saying,
truth.
what Reverend is saying is so real, right? Because even here at Tesano, sometimes when I'm going for a break lunch, I see kids like 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds left at the mercies of themselves, walking home, right? And I was asking myself, when I was 6-year-old back in St. Teresa's, there was no way, and it wasn't even too far from my house like that. So I asked one of them why he headed to. He's like, oh, I'm going after Apenkwa. 6-7-year-olds, right?
I remember my first time going to take a car to school. I was scared.
That's crazy.
I was, because my mother was like, if someone stops, don't get in.
Yeah.
Even if there are matters people inside, don't get inside.
How old were you at the time?
I think I was like 8. And I was going to school on my own for the very first time.
I
was excited, but I was
you were
scared.
excited. So
I was excited.
The element of independence in the child takes the day.
So you can imagine these people in what we call IS schools or international schools who, for the life of them, can't even lace their shoes, right?
No.
And they're supposed to be like in their early teens. It's interesting, Rev, the way you talk about it. But let's also focus the conversation to another modern challenge a lot of parents are facing.
Yeah.
And this is with regards to screen time or the digital world. They grow up very early and they already have tablets. I see some of my extended nieces and nephews, and they operate the tablets sometimes better than even their parents who own them. So the other challenge is that a lot of the vices that we see these children develop along the line are things they probably learnt or saw in the internet space or in the digital space. So, Reverend, talk us through how to navigate that, as a parent, your child is early primary, growing up, they need to use the tablet to learn, that really complex area of navigating screen time and digital.
Yeah, but it's not an issue. It's not complicated at all. First of all, structure. I'm talking. The issue is a structural issue. Structural. It's not the adjustment program for the government, but it's domestic structures. These are structures. Look.
All right.
One of the first things, like I said, no is my key word for this discussion. Not because something is wrong, but you teach control. One of the first things a child needs to be taught is how to manage your emotions. You don't teach emotional balance at 20 years. It's too late. You don't teach emotional balance at 16 years. It's late. You don't do that. So, and you don't get schooled in parenting. Like I said, it comes and you have to learn. So here's what I decided very early, looking at, I was not blessed enough to, get into matrimony. I'm not really a fan of it. But I didn't go in early. But here's the story. I got the chance to look at how things went in places. And some places you can look, but you can't talk. You don't want to talk, So one of the things I did was, one of the few things I tried to get Madame, to agree was this. And so I'm answering your question. I'm really on it, but I want you guys to get it right.
We are following.
My kids, when there's a baby court, and it costs money, what is easy for someone to master? Me, I hustle before I buy the thing. So I can't say man no get. So for me to buy that court, it must be used prudently. When the child is in the court, and that's why I said you can have matrimonial challenges when you want to bring up children. No way that child will get picked up when they are crying unless I'm not around. Strong objection. Because do you have kids?
No.
So here's what I'm showing you.
Okay.
How many kids do you have?
I don't have any.
Okay,
yet.
so you guys, you get an invoice from me.
No problem. No problem.
Look, when a child is in bed and they start crying, you don't pick them up. That's my rule. It's not in any book. It's my rule. When the child is crying, you don't pick them up. You go, and the first thing you do in the neck or the forehead, we call it, or the neck. Yeah. You check the temperature. Once you are done with the temperature check, you check the diapers. Diapers. Back then, I knew it was Clara. So the more clara you have means the baby gets a lot of care. But now it's dead, whatever. So you check that. If it's no weight, you know that you clear the system, the baby is fine. Nothing unusual, the baby is fine. You leave the child. But you know you want to pick the child up. You should. So my theory is simple. Be alert. Immediately the child stops, however deep a child cries, they take a commercial break. So, and you know, even here on TV or radio, the commercial break is short.
Yeah.
So once the child goes
for that
commercial break, you pick him or her up. The child knows that crying will never get me out of here.
True.
But I'll be picked, and you got to pick them up and have fun with them and everything. You know, that's it. For me, that was the start. That's how we started. Most parents are controlled by their children at home, and that is where the problem starts. Not the screen. The subjective discipline is non-existent.
Wow.
Because the love is so fresh, it's so deep. You have a baby for the first time, a mother for the first time. You can't fault a fresh mom. A fresh mom can never be faulted. Because she can never be faulted.
Wow.
Even the Jews with all their faith have a theory that God could not be everywhere, and so he made mothers. You can't fault a fresh mom. But it shouldn't continue. You have to oscillate things a little bit and bring balance. And that helps the child, because look, when a child is not disciplined, it's a pain on the child in the child's life. And then even a grown-up, look, if you are not disciplined, you can't enjoy working at ChannelOne, because you are not here at 7. You have an excuse why you came at 7. From where? Another person has an excuse why they came an hour earlier.
That's true.
So it's not going to work.
Right.
You can't go to Banana Blair every week and tell a genuine reason why you are late. He will listen, but they will kick you out.
Yeah.
No matter how much you pray. So discipline is key. So when you train a baby from infancy, when you train them early, that is it. You have a routine period the child would eat. And I hear there are signs that they make and they mean things. So that one their mothers can go and learn. That one is not in the Bible, so I can follow that. But the self-discipline is key.
Yeah.
It is those failures. Sweetheart, are you with me?
Yes.
It is those subjective little failures. When we picking the child wrongly, responding anytime they are crying, who is in control?
The child.
So the child is actually parenting the parent.
Right.
Even before they start crawling. So there has to be a reversal. When you have control in those areas, because most parents now use the tablets and the phones as a break off.
An escape.
Escape routes to get a little peace. But you're not going to get peace because it can't go on forever.
Wow.
That's true.
So now you wonder how to take it. And when you take it, the child knows that the louder I scream, the faster I'll get it. Especially when you're on a call. With the this step, then now you got to come together and decide who is parenting who. So right now, as we sit here, most parents are being parented by their kids, hence delinquency.
You know, I've seen this play firsthand, so I get and sometimes it's not even as a result of the fault of the parents, right? You know, they are busy people, like I said, and they want to they just want an escape. Let
me show you this.
They just want to get rid of the situation, so
but it is 100% a parental issue, because you can't give parents 95 and give the child 5.
True.
It is with the parents. It is our fault. It's our issue. We want to go. We want to let go. Sometimes even not to a child. The child, they are wise. They have to also re-accentuate themselves. So they are persistent.
Wow.
Right.
Reverend, you know, we'll have to continue this again next week. Time not too much on our side. And it's always usually the case when you start getting more interested, then time rears its ugly head. But thank you so much. I've learned.
But let me say a quick one. Whatever we say next week, we will do it. But look, if you have a child, 4 years or 2 years, will you leave your daughter at a circle or Manprobi station or in a crowd to start talking to people you don't know?
No.
Will you do it?
No.
But that's what you do when you give a 2-year-old a phone. Unless it's yam.
Even that one, you know.
So when you give them these things, remember you are open. You see, when you give them this phone and they know how to unlock it, what you did was you didn't open your child to the world. You opened the world
your
to
child.
come for your child.
Wow.
You can't bind that in the name of Jesus.
When you make the analogy like that, it's even more scary, right? But thank you so much. I've learned a lot, even as a non-parent, on you know, the thing you say about
a parent to be.
Yeah, you know, the thing you say about self-control without or self-esteem without self-control being work. That resonated strongly, and your emphasis on discipline and you know the need to make sure that the things come out well and not the child rather parenting the parent. That was really profound. So that's all time allows for this let me say episode, right? But we'll continue the conversation next week. Like we said, it's an important discussion that has to be had, and no other person will have it to, rather than Reverend Sefasa Martin, just because of his wealth of experience, really, and for you know a lot of the things he's done in the past. So we are so grateful for your time, Reverend. Thank you so much. We'll take a quick break. When we're back, we have a lot more for you. Don't go away.